In episode 1, we built the two numbers from the ground up. Superheat protects the compressor. Subcooling proves the charge. Now we stop talking about them and go measure one. This is the hands-on episode for Superheat. We're going to walk it step by step on a real R-410A system, exactly the way you would do it on a service call. Quick reminder of what superheat actually is. It is the number of degrees that the refrigerant vapor has risen above its saturation temperature. We read it on the low side on the suction line, and its whole job is to prove that no liquid refrigerant is heading back to the compressor. Here is the roadmap for the entire measurement. 5 moves. 1. Stabilize the system and check the air side. 2. Read the suction pressure. 3. Clamp a thermometer on the suction line. 4. Convert that pressure to a saturation temperature on the PT chart.
5. Subtract.
That is the whole thing. Let us earn the reading first. The single biggest mistake on a superheat reading happens before you ever touch a gauge. You grab the numbers too early, or you trust the refrigerant side when the air side is the real problem. So, first stabilize. Let the system run a solid 10 to 15 minutes after the compressor kicks on. Cold start numbers lie. The pressures and temperatures are still swinging around, and anything you read in the first few minutes is going to send you chasing ghosts. Second, and this is the one tech skip, verify airflow before you trust any refrigerant reading. Check the filter. Check the blower speed tap. Feel the airflow at the registers. If you have the tools, check static pressure. Here is why this matters so much. A dirty filter or a weak blower starves the coil of air, and that drives your refrigerant numbers all over the place. You will see a superheat reading that looks like a charge problem. You will add or remove refrigerant chasing it, and the real fix was a $5 filter. Air side first, refrigerant side second. Always in that order. Now the hands-on part. Move 1, the pressure. Attach your low side hose to the suction service port, the one on the big line, and note the pressure the gauge is reading. That is your suction pressure, and we will convert it in a minute. Move 2, the temperature. Clamp a pipe clamp thermometer, or an insulated thermistor probe, onto the suction line. Get it as close to the outdoor unit as you can, on a clean section of bare copper. And here is the detail that separates a good reading from a garbage one. Wrap the clamp with foam or putty so the outdoor air is not bleeding into your sensor. An exposed sensor sitting in the breeze is reading the air around the pipe, not the pipe itself. This is where techs go wrong constantly. They clamp the wrong line, the small warm liquid line instead of the big cold suction line, and they get a wild number. Or they clamp the right line, but leave the probe open to the air. Right line, suction, big, cold, insulated. And insulate your sensor over the top. Get those two right, and the rest is just arithmetic. You have a suction pressure on the gauge. Now we turn it into a temperature because superheat is a comparison of two temperatures. To do that, we use the pressure temperature chart for the exact refrigerant in the system. In our example, that is our R-410A. On a 410, a system, a suction pressure of 118 psig converts to a saturation temperature of 40 degrees. Read that carefully. 118 on the gauge becomes 40 degrees on the chart. That 40 degrees is the temperature the refrigerant is boiling at, right now, at that pressure. If you are running a modern digital manifold, you set the refrigerant type and it shows you saturation directly, no chart needed. If you are on analog gauges, you read the inner 410, a scale printed on the gauge face, or you pull out a paper PD chart. Whichever tool you use, the move is the same.
Pressure goes in.
Saturation temperature comes out. Hold on to that 40. Last move, and it is the easy one. Go back to that thermometer clamped on the suction line and read the actual line temperature. Say it reads 52 degrees. Superheat is simply the line temperature minus the saturation temperature. 52 minus 40 is 12. You have 12 degrees of superheat. That is the number. Now read what it means. On a fixed orifice or piston system, a healthy superheat window runs roughly 10 to 20 degrees. On a system with a thermostatic expansion valve, a TXV, it is tighter, about 8 to 15 degrees. Our 12 degrees sits right in the healthy band. That tells you the evaporator boiled off all of its liquid with a little margin to spare, and only vapor is heading down the suction line to the compressor. Now the two danger zones. If superheat drops too low, under about 5 degrees, liquid is surviving the coil and flooding back toward the compressor. That is the dangerous direction. If superheat climbs too high, over about 20, the coil is starved, it boiled off way too early, and you're losing cooling capacity. 12 degrees. Right in the band. The compressor is safe. Before we lock it in, here are the mistakes that quietly wreck a superheat reading so you never make them.
1.
Clamping the liquid line instead of the suction line. Wrong line. Wild number every time.
2.
Reading too soon, right after startup or right after a defrost cycle, before the system has settled. 3. Reading a frosted suction line. Frost is an insulator. It wraps the pipe and gives you a falsely high temperature, which fakes a high superheat.
4.
Clamping clean copper but leaving the sensor open to the air with no foam or putty over it. The breeze contaminates the reading. And 5, the big one that ties this whole series together. Trusting one number all by itself. Superheat only tells the truth when you read it next to your subcooling and your pressures. One number is a clue. 4 numbers are a diagnosis. Clean copper, insulated sensor, stabilized system. Then read. Lock in the 3 things you cannot forget from this episode.
1.
Earn the reading. Stabilize the system for 10 to 15 minutes and verify the air side before you trust a single refrigerant number.
2.
The calculation never changes. Superheat is suction line temperature minus saturation temperature, and on our R-410A example, that was 52 minus 40 equals 12 degrees.
3.
Read the result. A healthy superheat means the coil boiled off its liquid safely and only vapor is going home to the compressor. In the next episode, we flip to the high side and do the exact same procedure for subcooling, the number that proves the charge. I will see you there.